All right, so thus far we've generated all the images required for scene one, and we also did some of scene two. Now it's going to be difficult to go through all the image generations required for each scene, as that would be quite lengthy for this course. So I already completed scene two and three. I've generated all the required images, which I will show in one of the upcoming video lessons. For now, let's do scene four together. And the reason why I think it's a good idea to go over a few additional steps in terms of image generation is because AI still has nuances, and it's important for us to identify how we can deal with those and ultimately retrieve the desired images that we want to use for our video generation. So I'm going to go ahead and generate the images required for these four parts, and let's go ahead and get started with that. So this is the challenge inside the cave. Now, what I've done so far is they started their journey. Leo starts his journey. He meets Maya. They encounter an obstacle, and they were able to get past that obstacle by building essentially a raft made of branches. They cross over the river with the raft that they built together, and then a storm appears, and then a storm approaches, dark clouds, it starts raining. They need to find shelter. Leo finds a cave. So now they're entering a cave and they come across Ben. So these are the images that we're going to generate where they come across Ben. Maya is scared. Leo is confident, and they want to work together to scare a wild animal that they find in the cave. Okay, so let's go ahead and generate the images for this step. So what we're going to do is go to Leonardo AI. And once you're here in Leonardo AI, let's just clear this all out and start fresh. So as you can see, the last images that I worked on generating was when the narrator says that, that Leo and Maya are going to be going into the cave to seek shelter. So here we're going to create something for Ben. So let's go ahead and grab our character, in this case, Ben. So we're going to go to animated story images and go under Ben. And then the one we selected is this one right here. Let's go ahead and upload that. There we go. So now what we want is we want to describe that Ben, or the attached character, is thrilled to see people enter the cave. We'll get to the wild animal part in a second, but first we need to generate an image of Ben showing that he's excited or happy or thrilled to see people there with him. Although Ben is a tall guy, strong figure, he still would appreciate some support in the situation that he's in. All right, so here we have it. We have a few images here of Ben in the cave. So let's take a look. So this might be okay. Let's take a look at a few other ones. All right, so this one might be okay. This one might be good as well. So let's try to generate once more. And it's always good to give it more than one shot. All right, so let's see what we got here. And let's see if any of these would work a little better. So looks pretty angry here. Maybe something like this. This might be okay too, right here. Looks pretty good. That looks pretty good too. All right, so let's just go ahead and pick one. This might be all right as well. Okay, so I'm going to download a few. Again, it's always good to just kind of keep a few, and then later you can determine what you would like best. Okay, this one seems okay. I don't really know what this thing is right here, but with another tool, another AI tool, we can eliminate that, and I'll show you how to do that in a future video lesson. So let's just download that in case we want to use it. So sometimes there is some minor editing required, which isn't a bad thing, but it just helps you perfect your images and prepare them for video generation. So these are a few ones that I think might work. So all we're trying to illustrate here is just Ben showing some enthusiasm or some excitement about seeing people enter the cave, or maybe even some kind of shock that he's surprised to see people enter a cave while he's there. And he has a serious look on his face, which is fine because, I mean, they're in a cave. So, I mean, I would think that people entering a cave would be somewhat surprising, especially if he himself was in there to seek shelter. In any case, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the script. So the next part is Maya expressing that she's scared and asking, what should we do? So we need to show Maya in a cave, and perhaps we can show Ben and Leo in the background. So let's try that. Now, Ben and Leo don't necessarily have to be in the background, but why not? We'll give it a shot. So here we're going to say, and I just paste this for reference, I'm basically going to swap the characters out, and this time I'm going to select Maya. And I'm going to say that the attached character is scared in a cave with two young men in the background. Okay, so we're going to say the attached character is scared in a cave with two young men in the background. Well, we can say the attached character is scared in a cave because she learned that there is a wild animal in there. There are two young men in the cave with her. So let's go ahead and generate that and try our luck. And that's kind of what it is when you're dealing with AI image generation. It kind of is testing your luck. Now, sometimes you can get some great images. In other cases, not so much, and you have to kind of work a little more, do some more prompting. And in some cases, you need to take those images and maybe edit them in another program like Canva, which I'll show you how to do. All right, let's see what we got. So that won't work. This might work, although this looks to be a female character. But again, this is something we can edit. I don't think any of the other ones here will work. Okay, that does show a wild animal, so that's interesting. Maybe. All right, so we might be able to use some of these. I'm going to download it for now, but we may not necessarily go with these. Okay, so it is just a good idea to grab a collection of potential images and then later on assess and see if it would be worthwhile. So we're getting closer. So I'm going to say the attached character is scared in the cave because she learned that there is a wild animal in there hiding. We're going to mention hiding so it's not so visible. And there's two young men in the cave with her. So let's see if that gives us something a little better. The other thing I'm going to do is the generation mode. We've been using fast. I'm going to try quality. Now that does take more tokens up. However, ultimately it can give you some quality images, and that's the purpose of it. So as you can see, I'm generating 8 fast ones and 8 quality ones to see if that helps. Another thing I can do is I can select the strength. So high is just basically like kind of, again, more quality in a sense. So it's kind of like more focused. It's more like higher dimension. So we'll do one of these as well. And this is just for demonstration to show you that you can get different kinds. So let's see what we got here. All right, so we're going to click on this. So I'm going to, no, that is one scary looking animal. I would hope that they would never be stuck in a cave with something like that. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, so don't know what those figures are in the back, but they don't look human to me. I don't know what that is, so that's not going to work. That one is... All right, so I'm going to skip these. Let's see the next ones and see if we can get something better. Okay, let's see if any of these are better. I think these are ones with more quality. So as you can see, the images are somewhat sharper, but they're not necessarily accurate in terms of what we're looking for. All right, let's wait for this last one here. Now, this one I believe was the one with the quality and also higher dimension. So no, 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 and no, and no. So again, sometimes you just got to really test your luck. We're going to try a few more times and we'll try the different modes, quality and fast, to get a flavor of different results. We'll try between medium and high as well, or mid and high as well. Okay, and let's see what that gives us. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the prompt a little bit just to say the attached character is scared in the cave. There are two young men in the cave with her. Let's leave the wild animal out of it for now. And the reason being is because we can depict the wild animal separate in the cave instead of showing them all together. So we'll just show Maya with the two young men in the background for now, and then we'll kind of link it in the video animation to show that there is a wild animal lurking in that same cave. Okay, so sometimes you have to kind of refine the prompt a bit. So again, I refined it once more. The attached character is scared in a cave. There are also male figures seen from far away. So I didn't specify how many male figures are seen, but I let AI do its thing. So you see one here, but looks kind of disfigured in terms of the facial features. This one won't work. This one is pretty good because it shows two male figures, and this one looks to be Ben, taller, and Leo, who's a little bit shorter. And there's an extra person here, it seems, but I can remove that using AI tools in Canva, which I'll show you how to do. So this is a potential one. Okay, and that one won't work. This one is also interesting. There's a few weird looking creatures. I can get those removed as well, but we have Ben here in the back, so we can maybe use that. Okay, so those are a few good ones that we could possibly use for now. Let's move on to the next portion of the script. So the next portion of the script is where Leo says that we'll work together, we can scare it away. So we need to show the wild animal in the cave somehow. So let's pick a wild animal. So I'm going to say, without attaching a character, you're just going to say a wolf in a cave hiding with people in the back far away. Just something like that. Showing an image of a wolf in the cave, just kind of lurking in somewhere around the cave with people in the back. People obviously would be in reference to Leo, Maya, and Ben in this case. So let's see what this gives us. All right, let's see what we got. So we have a wolf here, but I want it so that the characters see the animal, the wild animal, from somewhat of a distance. So I want to aim for something like that. Okay, that is one character seeing the animal. So maybe, potentially, let's take it. I'm not sure if that would be appropriate. No, that's way too many people. So you want to kind of just look and see what would be a good fit. All right, so on the first go, not so bad. Let's try it again and see what it will give us. All right, let's see what we got here. Maybe we get something better. So that's a no. These are pretty much all no's. That's a nice looking wolf. So here you have one person spotting the animal, maybe. So this could be, for instance, one of the characters. Could be Ben, for instance, spotting the animal. So that is a potential. I think we'll go with those two for now and see if one of those work for us. Okay, next part of the script. All right, so we need an image that shows that they're going to work together somehow to scare the wolf away. So let's work on that. So let's get an image where we can demonstrate Leo in this case being the main person speaking. So let's capture Leo here. Okay, so the attached character shows bravery in a cave. And I think that's sufficient just to say that he's showing bravery in a cave with two other people in the background. So now we're making Leo the main speaker in this specific scene. And then the two other people in the background in this case would be Maya and Ben. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so several dupes. This one is interesting, but there's an extra character here that we don't want. Way too many characters. You got some duplicates. So not gonna work, but you know, we're gonna try a few more times and see what it gives us. All right, so after a few attempts of trying to capture Leo demonstrating bravery in the cave with two other people in the background, I think the one that stuck out to me the most probably is right here. This one right here. And the reason being is because it has two figures in the background, one male, one female. And you have Leo here, confident, brave, determined. So we're going to go ahead and download this one and try to work with it. All right, so we're going to move on to the next part of the video script. And now we have the narrator speaking and saying that the three friends gathered sticks and made noise. With teamwork, they frightened the animal out of the cave. Okay, so we want to show a few things. We want to show the narrator speaking briefly. We want to show the three friends gathering sticks and making noise. And we want to show teamwork, frightening the animal out of the cave. Now, I already have images of the narrator in the cave, so I don't think we need that again. But we're going to go ahead and do this one. So the three friends gathered sticks and made noise. Okay, to frighten an animal out of the cave. Now, I'm going to show these two parts separately. I'm going to show the friends gathering sticks and making noise, or doing something that would give the illustration that they're going to make noise. And then the second part is the animal running out of the cave due to fear. So let's go ahead here and we're going to say, we're going to cancel, we're going to cross that out. We're going to say three friends, and we're going to say in a cave gathered sticks. We're going to add some more specifics, and we're going to say from a far distance, because this does not necessarily need to be close up. We want to be a little specific on what type of friends, okay? So three young adult friends in a cave gathered sticks. That's a little bit more specific. So let's see what that gives us. Okay, so it gave us numerous friends, more than three. So we're going to be a little bit more specific here. So we're going to say from a far distance, and we're going to say two young men and one young woman in a cave gathered sticks. So let's try that out, see what that gives us. All right, so right after entering this prompt in on the first go, I think we got a hit. So this looks pretty decent. I think this can pass for Leo, that can pass for Ben, that can pass for Maya. So we're gonna go ahead with this image for now. That looks pretty good. And let's move on. So now we want to show the animal, in this case, the wolf, basically run out of the cave out of fear. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say a wolf runs out of a cave from fear. Just something as simple as that. I don't think we need any other specifics. All right, so here we have it. Let's see, we want the wolf running out from fear. So these are two wolves, so that's not going to work. This is a maybe. We kind of want to show the wolf scared, so that might be okay. Has its head kind of low. All right, let's try one more. Let's try another go at it. I think we're getting close. So we're going to say a wolf runs out of a cave from fear. We're going to say and exits the cave. Let's have it sort of demonstrate that it's actually leaving the cave too, or at least on the exit point. All right, let's see what we got here. So we have a few options to work with, perhaps. Okay, looks like it's a decent one right here. And we could check these other ones. These are other ones I've generated as well. So this one isn't bad because it's looks like it's running in fear. This one, it actually looks pretty scared here. So there's a couple options. As long as you show that the wolf is running, then I think it's sufficient. So we can go with one of these. This one is also pretty decent. Okay. All right, so we'll try one of those out and see how that goes. Perfect. So that should suffice for scene 4. Okay, so we have all the parts for scene 4. We've went through 2 examples. We did scene 1 and we just did scene 4. So I'm going to go ahead and complete scene 5. Now, after we have all the images for all the scenes, I'm going to show you the final images that I've selected, and then we're going to go to the next step where we kind of clean up some of the images in Canva. Once the images have been polished, we're going to go ahead and start integrating it into our video generation programs and also work on our voiceovers.